Brandy, welcome to Maybe You're Like Me. How are you doing today, friend?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
I am excellent. I didn't mean to one-up you, but I did. So I'm excellent. So.
You did. That's true. That's true. I'm fabulous.
Whoa. Okay. I think we're on an even playing field now. I'm happy that we're both rocking and rolling here. So Brandy, on the podcast, we're talking to people like you who are doing amazing things. And so I don't know how, but there's probably somebody out there who has been living under a rock for the last couple decades, and they may not have heard of you before. So for people out there that may not have met you yet, Brandy, can you give us just a quick elevator pitch introduction? Who is Brandy Wilson?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who've never heard of me. I am Brandy Wilson. I live right outside of Nashville, Tennessee in Franklin. I'm a single mom to 3 sons that are now 22, 19, and 17. So I have a senior in college, a freshman in college, and a junior in high school. All 3 of them play football, and I like to say I'm classy until kickoff. I'm the only person in our stadium of about 3,000 people every weekend that has a cowbell and is loud and proud. So I get very anxious, and I try to work it all out through ringing my cowbell every Friday night. And yeah, I've been in the Nashville area for 22 years. So this is definitely home. I'm originally from a small town in Kentucky. But Nashville has my heart, so I don't plan on going anywhere.
That's incredible. Now, so on the podcast, actually, real quick before that, I want to talk about Football U for a second, because this is a subject so you got your cowbell. Are you like a ball of nerves the whole time? Are you yelling at the refs? Who are you?
Oh gosh, that's such a vulnerable answer I'm going to have to give for this question.
Let's do it.
It depends on how things are going. I am very anxious. My junior in high school plays quarterback. So my other 2 sons are defensive backs. I have a corner and a safety, which are, super fun to watch. The quarterback position is very stressful. I will tell you, the gift that God has given me is when he throws the ball, I follow the ball. So I never see when he gets creamed by the defensive line. So last week he took a really bad hit, and I'm like, he'd thrown a touchdown. So I'm screaming and yelling, and my one of my sons got to come to that game, and one of my good friends was there, and Brewsters were there with me. And I'm like flipping out, cheering, and they're all like, when is she going to notice that my son is on the ground? And I legitimately turned to them and I said, wait, who got hurt? And they were like, that's Brewer. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I feel like God has given me the gift of following the ball, so I don't have to watch him take those hard hits. And he's fine. He got up and played the rest of the game, but he was definitely sore the next day.
Yeah. If you ever meet my mom, which I feel like we should make that happen now. I don't know why, but if you ever meet my mom, if people describe her, she's not a shy person, but she's got like a small, soft voice. And if you meet her, it feels like she's a very, timid's the wrong word, but just a very quiet person. But when it comes to my mom being at a sporting event, supporting either us when we were kids or my nephews or my sons, she can be like the most boisterous, loud person. And so I understand that mom energy you got going on for
I've got some mom energy. There. That's a great word for it, mom energy.
Yeah. But then I've got some friends too that they're just yelling at everything the whole time. So
I try to remember that these are children. So I will yell at a ref, but I really don't like to yell at other kids. At least we're going to go with that.
Well, I yell at other kids all the time. I'm just for fun, just walking on the street, just yell at somebody walking down. So you're a better person than me. We'll go ahead and start off with that. So, okay, on the podcast, we're talking to people like you that are doing amazing things. And if we're going to, we want to get to know you beyond your public persona. And so there's people that you see and just seem like you've got life all figured out and all put together. And so we see creators and movie stars and stuff, and it seems like their lives are perfect. But if we're going to get past all that stuff, we got to kind of start with that stuff. So let's say you just met somebody and you're really trying to flex and you're trying to show out your highlight reel. Who is that, Brandy? Give us the prim and polish.
Oh, the prim and polish, Brandy. I have been in ministry for a long time, and I don't know that would be my flex, but because I actually do love what I do. I work for an organization called Leading and Loving It that I helped get off the ground about 15 years ago with my best friend Lori Wilhite. And at the time, we were both pastors' wives. She's still a pastor's wife. I am not in that position anymore. But we started this organization to help women thrive in ministry. We wanted women to feel connected to one another. We wanted women to feel that that somebody understood what their life looked like behind the scenes. And we have a lot of things going on. We do a conference in October every year in Nevada. We have a subscription service that has daily encouragement delivered, as well as community where ladies can connect and get to know one another and kind of broaden that connection of ministry females and ministry leaders in their life. And then this summer I wrote a book. I'm going to flex and say I wrote a book.
Flex it, girl. Yeah, get it.
Called Better Than Okay. I was a senior pastor's wife for 20 years and helped plant a church here in Nashville called Crosspoint Church, which I loved serving in for 14 years. And about 7 years ago, my husband of 20 years, chose to walk away from the marriage and the ministry and the church and our family unit. And I found myself at 42 starting over, and have just spent the last 7 years really trying to heal and grow from that and dig into my emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, and just become a healthier version of myself and deal with some of the dysfunction that I had lived in for a really long time. And when I felt like I could write out of my scars and not my wounds, I put a book together called Better Than Okay, Finding Hope and Healing After Your Marriage Ends. And it's honestly just the story of what God chose to do in me when I chose to begin again.
That's incredible. I know people. I work in a church, and so I talk to people, and we see people all the time that instead of trying to heal from the brokenness, they kind of just live in it for a long time. But it's cool to see that you've taken, again, like you didn't write from your wounds, but being able to look back and see what God did in your life and hopefully using that to help people forward. That's really cool that you've done that. So
thank you.
On behalf of so many people that you've probably been able to help, thank you. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm happy you're here. And again, I'm going to say this about 100 million times, but thank you for being here. It's such an honor to have you here. This is fun.
I think it's fun too.
All right. So on the podcast, we do things in a couple of rounds. And the first round, I call it the first date round. And because if you ever go on a first date, you want to ask the right questions. You don't want to ask
100%. I'm learning this. Okay. I'm learning this, Mike.
Yeah. So actually, like kind of the genesis of all this was on TikTok. I was watching these TikToks, and it was these ladies saying that they'd been in a committed relationship for 6 or 10 years, and they were in the dating pool again, and somebody was asking them what their favorite color was. And they're like, if somebody asks me my favorite color again, I'm going to lose my mind. And so, so the goal with these questions is to it's not just a yes or no, but just for fun, what is your favorite color? Because we're here now.
Blue,
there you
navy,
go.
blue,
and you look great in blue. Look at
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I'm
it's representing. A good look. But yeah, so it's not just beyond just the typical yes or no. Do you like cheese? Which hopefully cheese is delicious. So who doesn't like it? But,
right. Something's wrong with them.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we're asking questions that may be a little bit beyond just yes or no stuff. But just for fun, let's start with a favorite. So what was your favorite breakfast cereal growing up?
Cookie Crisp.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You fancy anything about that?
I just think I have always loved sweets, and it felt like I was getting cookies for breakfast.
Absolutely. I actually saw a video the other day that was like, can you imagine them trying to market Cookie Crisps now? It's like, hey, give your kids a full bowl of cookies for breakfast.
Right. Soaking in milk. Yes. It doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
I'm sad.
I don't know if it does, but Yep. I remember, all those 90s commercials with the little chef making all the Cookie Crisps. And those are good times. All right. So now you are, you're a grown adult and you make more sensible decisions. And so moving on from that, what is your favorite cereal now?
Frosted Flakes.
That is a fantastic choice. That is full on tops of my list because it's still a sugar cereal.
Oh, it's still sugar cereal. Yes. I make myself feel better because I drink it with I use my Fairlife milk in it. So I'm getting some protein. But that is honestly usually what I have on Friday nights after football games because it's so late.
Yeah.
And I make my son a meal and then I eat some Frosted Flakes.
That is genuinely all of my dreams. I love like a late night bowl of cereal, especially Frosted Flakes.
And
I like it that
you have it late at night. It's weird.
Oh yeah. That and like eating a bowl of cereal for breakfast these days, I feel like I'm hungry 30 minutes later.
Yes,
but like it's a great late night snack. You're right on that.
Yep. Agreed.
And I like the little caveat you've given yourself if you put protein milk in it.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Oh man, no, I just love breakfast cereal in general. So that was a good choice on both of those.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I was a kid, it was probably more Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms for me. For me, it was a game of I would try to eat all of the little healthy parts of I eat that first, and then guess what? I've got myself a cereal dessert at the end.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Straight spoonfuls of sugar
in that milk. Yes.
Yep. I remember when I first started college, I bought myself a box of Lucky Charms. Actually, this might be TMI, so anybody who wants to skip forward 30 seconds, I bought myself a box of Lucky Charms and I ate like 2 or 3 bowls in a night. And the next day I pooped green and I thought I was dying. And I was like, what is going on? No, my body is turning against me. And then I realized I'd eaten all of the food coloring, like red 4D, blue 50, yellow 900. And I thought I was dying. So
that's great.
Who knows? All right. That's good to know. It's good to know we're on like a kind of even playing field on cereal.
Yep.
I don't put protein in my my cereal. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm just gonna straight cow's milk it up and see what happens. But yeah. Oh, so never mind. I was gonna ask you if you had to go just regular milk. What kind of milk are you doing? Are you a 1%er, 2%er, whole?
I usually do a skim.
Ooh.
Is what I would choose to drink. I think the Fairlife milk is 1%.
Good for you. I think that skim milk is just like white colored water. Yeah, no one's got time for that. But you know what? More power to you.
In the 90s, they convinced us to drink it because it was less fat.
You know, we were wrong about a lot of things in the 90s.
We were. I agree.
And so here I am. My brother's joke is he wants to chew his milk. And so, give me that whole milk. But we do 2%. I don't know what the other 98% is, but I'm still drinking it. All right. Just another fun random one. If you were in the circus and you had to like do a circus performance, what kind of circus performance would you want to do?
I would be the lady who rode the horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I grew up
riding horses. I love riding horses. So yeah, I would be the lady who trains and does the tricks with the horses. Have
you ever tried to stand up while riding a horse?
Yes, of course I have.
Wait, you can?
Of course. I can't, but I've tried it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, my balance is horrible. So the fact that that's something that you've even tried is next level to me. So
yes, I've tried when I was a kid, not recently.
Okay. I feel like it's time to get back into it. Get back on that horse, as they say. You were ready with that answer too. I was like, she's going to like really like have to think through this, but she was just you're just on the ball with that one.
That was an easy one.
Is this something you dreamed about for a while? Am I tapping into a deep-seated dream? Okay. Mine, there's Lion Tamer, there's Trapeze Artist, Tightrope. And honestly, I think I would just die doing any of them almost immediately. And so the only thing that I can think of that I can do and I could do would be being a magician. But that's less fun. Yeah. Or I could try to pass off as the bearded lady and I'd make a few bucks that way. I don't know, though.
Did you love The Greatest Showman? The movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And the soundtrack's excellent. I didn't even go there until you said bearded lady. And I was like, oh, The Greatest Showman. Yeah.
And me and her have an identical voice too. So it would really work out for me. But yeah, no, I grew up, loved the circus. Maybe an elephant trainer. That sounds kind of fun.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
But those guys are getting a lot of heat from the old PETA. So
yeah, they are.
We will hold off on that. I didn't say that. Don't cancel me. Please, PETA, don't cancel this podcast. All right. So that was the first date round. So things we know now are that you drink protein milk and that you want to stand up on a horse, would you want to try to do the thing where you like do like a flip in between horses and stuff?
Sure, why not? If I'm going for it, yes, I want to do all of the things.
Sounds good. If you ever make your way down here to the central South Florida area, in Sarasota, there is an entire community of Ringling performers. And so Ringling Brothers, that was kind of their headquarters for a long time. And
so fun.
Yeah. So there, if you go down there, there's like the trains, and there's a bunch of old performers that live and hang out there. Do you know the tightrope walkers, the Walendas?
No.
Oh,
are they there?
Like, yep, they're there. He's the guy that's like walked across the Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls, like in between crazy skyscrapers and skyscrapers in New York and stuff. He just does incredible stuff like that. And I'd take one step out and then fall and die immediately. So,
oh my gosh, I don't do heights well.
No, I think I would do okay with it. I just have horrible balance. And so,
yeah.
And I don't want to hold on to a long pole like that as I'm walking. All right. So that was the first day around. That was a lot of fun. Brandy, you are a delight.
You made that painless.
I tried to, and you know, that was a good appetizer round. All right. So the next round, I call it the slow round. And so this round is a little bit less serial and a little more maybe kind of to the heart of who you are, and maybe to some of the things that you know. And so there's people out there that that they've gone through some tough stuff. And if I'm really, really honest with you, in life, I really stray away from talking about the deep stuff, the hard stuff, and which I'm honestly in the wrong position, working in a church, because there's a lot of people that are dealing with some really heavy and hard stuff. And, and this, honestly, I didn't even know this was part of your story when I asked you to be on the podcast. Honestly, your friend Jackie told me, you got to have Brandy. She's just the best person. And so I asked you to be on the podcast, and then I was like, wait, who is this Brandy lady? And so I started looking, and I was like, she's written this amazing book called Better Than Okay. And I looked into the story behind it. And so there's people out there that are really struggling with hard things. And so I don't always feel like I've got like the depth to answer these kind of questions, but for people that are dealing with trauma and they're dealing with some deep, dark, hard heart things, how can they take real practical steps to, as you put it, be better than okay?
Yeah, I think one thing that is super practical and everyone is capable of doing is to start a gratitude practice. And I will tell you, when I began this 7 years ago, I didn't have the language to call it a gratitude practice. But my husband at the time, like I said, had just resigned. The church where we worked was one of the fastest growing churches in the nation. It was very large in Middle Tennessee. We had 6 different locations. So when his resignation happened, it publicly really kind of hit the fan. And I think we could both agree that when your life publicly falls apart, it's been falling apart behind the scenes for a really long time. But life as I knew it just kind of ended overnight. I went from one Sunday I was at church hugging people, surrounded by thousands and thousands and thousands of people, to the next Sunday I was only talking to 3 friends and my therapist. So it happened super quickly. And I just found myself processing all of these negative emotions. I was overwhelmed. I had more questions than answers. I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to financially support my family. I didn't know what starting over looked like. I didn't know where we were going to live. I didn't know. It was really, really, really a painful time in my life. And just a couple of weeks after he resigned, I remember having this realization of I believe God is still good. Nothing around me feels good. Nothing about life feels good. But man, I've got to believe that God is still good. And I went and I just pulled a journal. I think it had come in a promotional kit off of my bookshelf, and took a orange Sharpie like the one I have right here today, but it was orange. And on the front, I wrote focus on the good. And each day I just made myself stop at the end of the day and write down 5 ways I had seen the goodness of God that day. And, you know, they were really simple. It wasn't big thought out things, it might be something like having ice cream on the porch with my kids. I remember one day I wrote down, I got a new hair dryer. And while a new hair dryer might not be revolutionary, it did represent that there would be new things coming in my life. So I think a gratitude practice for me was huge. It's something I continue still to this day. There is research and there are studies out there that show what practicing gratitude can do for your health, your mental health, your physical health. And I think it is something that everyone is capable of doing, whether you keep it in your phone, in your notebook, whether you actually have a piece of paper and pencil, you can look around and reflect on your day and find a couple of good things that remind you of the goodness of God in your life. So I think that is something I will continue to do probably for the rest of my life. And it's really cool to be able to look back and just see how that has changed or see what I was celebrating in different seasons of life. But I think being able to lean into that gratitude when you're walking through something hard really is a perspective shift that can help you keep going when you don't know how you're going to keep going.
Yeah, I feel like something that I hear over and over from people, especially, so this practice you're doing with gratitude is just taking the intentionality of kind of paying attention to what you're paying attention to. And if you're looking for the bad, it's probably pretty easy to find and easy to sit in and easy to just stay at. But I love the thought of being intentional with looking for gratitude and looking for the good things that are going on in your life. Even like I wouldn't say that my life has been upended in any way up to this point, outside of having small children at certain points, but because they can be a whole
everything.
Yeah. But no, that in my life, and this is a blessing in my life, it hasn't been down that road yet. But the thing that I've noticed is, it's like you said, that's true, that if even in like my slight moments of either depression or anxiety, if I take the time and I'm really intentional with looking for the good and looking for things that I can be thankful for, that does, it kind of recenters my attention, my focus on what's good.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think where your energy goes, your energy flows. So if your energy is going toward the negative, then mentality, everything is going to go toward the negative. If you are leaning into seeing the positive and the goodness of God, then that's where you're going to take your life. So I think it's a super important practice to be aware of.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to a couple of years ago, we had a minivan for a while. And are you a car person? I'm not a car person.
I'm not, no, but I feel like everyone has one minivan life that they have to live through.
Yeah. So we did minivan life for a little bit, and it was my wife's, she drove it more than I did. It was her daily driver. And so we got to the point where our youngest son can open his own door. And so it was like, okay, it was a
Out
big
of the
deal.
Minivan.
Yeah. So my wife was like, and she had her heart set on, it's a Volkswagen Atlas, and I can with, like full, like, cleanness in my heart tell you that before that I had never seen a Volkswagen Atlas in my life. But the second that we started looking for a Volkswagen Atlas, I genuinely see them everywhere. And even to the point that the other day we were in the Atlas, me and my boys, I was taking them to school, and there was another identical VW Atlas. And I was like, guys, what's mom doing over there? And they're like, we're in the Atlas. And so you just, it all gets back to what your attention is focused towards is what you're going to see. And so if you can intentionally point your focus towards gratitude and towards what is good in life, that I love that. Brandy, thank you so much for that. Okay. Now, so how old are your boys right now?
They are 22, 19, and 17.
Okay. Good on you for remembering that. I went to the doctor recently for one of my sons, and they said, what is your son's birthday? And I said, it is, and I gave the month and the day. And then I said 2018, and the lady behind the desk goes, try again. And so I have the hardest time remembering the years. So I've got two little guys. So I've got he just turned 6. And then by the time this comes out, I've got a 9-year-old. And so,
okay, that's awesome.
So I'm always, something I try to be intentional about is finding people kind of like yourself that are a few steps ahead of me in the old parenting game. And so you've got these three guys. And so again, like ever since you decided to come on the podcast, I've done a little bit of a deep dive into your life, and you seem like an incredibly intentional mom. And so
thank you.
Normally I ask questions that are helpful for a lot of people, but this one is just for me. I'm going to be a little selfish today.
Do it.
For a guy with a 6 and a 9-year-old, what advice would you give to somebody like me at this stage in parenting, or even just like some perspective you got from having kids in their early adult age or end of high school age?
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard to narrow down to just one thing. So
well, we've got time.
I will tell you, I love being a mom of boys. I am close to my mom, so I think I thought I'd always have a girl, and that was not our luck. I actually have 2 female dogs who are the most high maintenance members of the family. So I actually love being a boy mom. I think perspective is to just always be open to talking about everything. I think when we started walking through the divorce, the separation and divorce, I really just became super open in every conversation I was having with my kids, even to the point of, they had been through a lot of change. They'd been through a lot of hurt and trauma. One of their therapists said to me, your kids have walked through 2 divorces. Their divorce of the parents, and then the divorce from the church. Because, my kids, same thing happened. They were there one Sunday and life was great. And then the next Sunday, I had to take away their phones so that they couldn't find out their dad had resigned before we had a chance to tell them. So I just became super open and honest with everything that was going on. And when it came time for us to buy a new house or buy a new to us house, that's a conversation I had with them of like, hey, this is hard for me to stay in this house, and I would like for us to have a fresh start, and just have those conversations and listen to them weigh in. And I remember one night at dinner, we had the conversation of we can probably only afford a 3-bedroom with a bonus room, or we can get a 4-bedroom. So let's have a discussion of what do we feel like would be the best fit for our family, and then just talk to them through the hard stuff too. And I remember one night I was wiping down the kitchen table after dinner, and one of my sons was sitting at my desk, and out of the blue, he said, I Googled dad. And I just kind of like froze because I knew what was coming. And I was like, you did? Tell me about it. And we just had this really great conversation. And I think lots of times as parents, we shy away from the truth because we don't want our kids to have to experience pain or hurt. And I agree with all of that. But we also know that life involves pain and hurt. So I feel like teaching them how to manage loss rather than avoid loss is really significant. I got to, under my roof, walk my kids through a lot of things that I have. When I, was like, I wish this wasn't happening, then I said, I'm glad it's happening under my roof instead of when they're on their own at college. So I think when you realize that maybe they're going through something tough, be grateful that they're under your roof and you're getting to teach them how to have their first relationship or how to handle a falling part of a friendship. So yeah, I just think honesty is great. I look at honesty when you have kids as kind of like a suitcase, and how much are they able to carry, because you need to give them age appropriate truth. So the smaller they are, if they're 5 or 6, they can carry a little backpack and probably throw in some, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys or, stuffed animal or something like that. And then as they get bigger, 10 or 12, they can carry a duffel bag that holds all of their lacrosse equipment so they can handle a little bit more truth. So it's not about not being honest. It's about what level of truth are kids able to process and developmentally handle at their age. And in doing that, you teach them how to manage life and not just to avoid the hard things, but to be able to walk through those hard things in a healthier way.
Yeah. I think so. I'm still honestly pretty early on in the whole parenting thing. Actually, the other day, I had a friend whose daughter turned 9, and I was like, dude, it's exciting. Your daughter's turning 9. He goes, nuh-uh, it's halfway to 18. And I've been an emotional wreck since then because my son's about to turn 9. I was like, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
Never count backwards. Never do that.
No.
It's too hard.
No. So tell my friend Jason, look at the camera and tell him he's a horrible person for doing that to
Jason,
me.
you're a terrible friend. Terrible friend. At my oldest son's senior year, senior year of high school, and I'll be like, this is the last time we're gonna have Christmas with you. And he's like, do you think I'm never coming back home? Like, all you do is talk about the last. I am going to do Christmas here for a really long time.
Yeah.
And even that perspective of like, okay, this is not the end. This is just the last time he's living with me full time that we do it this way. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I even like, there's a guy, Andy Stanley. One of his things is he wants to parent his kids that when they're grown, that they want to come home. And
yep,
so
for sure.
That's been something that's stuck in my head. And everything you said, I'm like, I'm just going to sit and chew on that for a long time about like, all right. So, and it's really funny you said Ninja Turtles because my 6-year-old is obsessed with the Ninja Turtles right now. And so,
perfect.
It's the best. And so, it's fun because I feel like there's all the time there's new language. Probably when you were parenting in the early 2000s, that there's been just new things that because of emotional intelligence and the way like just studies that have come out that we all understand a little bit more and that we're getting a little bit better at. Hopefully, we're getting a little bit better at being parents. And so I'm grateful for people like you that. I love having these conversations with parents that are a few steps ahead of me that I can be like, okay, so I don't need to emotionally dump on my kids, but I need to let them know that there's, and this is something that my wife and I've started doing, that there's times where our kids are just being, the nicest way to put it is turkey sandwiches, and they're just not listening. And I'm like it gets to a point where I'm like, I've repeated myself a million times. I'm like, all right, we are at frustration point, and I need you guys to know that we are at frustration point. You're frustrating dad now. And so
that's awesome.
Just finding the right kind of honesty to share with kids, that's huge.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
There's one question that we ask everybody on the podcast. And so it could be the biggest thing in the world. Like you just figured out a new branch of science and you're leading the new science in the world, or something as small as you just figured out how to crack your knuckles in a more appealing, I don't know, but what's something you're learning right now?
What is something I'm learning right now? Gosh, that's a great question. Let me think. What am I reading? I'm actually reading a book where I feel like I'm relearning a lot about prayer. I am reading Pray Like Monks, Living Like Fools.
Okay.
Do you know that book? It's great. Don't. Yes, it's great. I wish I could think of the author, but it's called Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools. And it's just kind of a new way for me to be able to look at prayer. I think I was able to develop secure attachment with God during my divorce. Instead of being anxious or avoidant, I just leaned in and he was there. And I think one area I'd like to grow more in is the area of prayer. And I've started this book and I'm loving it. And it's helping me to see ways that I can just bring Jesus into my life on and I sit down and I pray every day, but like throughout my day and throughout what I'm experiencing, and even when I wake up at night, just little prayers of being able to invite him to stay has been super helpful for me. So I'm learning about that. And let me see if I'm learning anything that sounds like more exciting than prayer. That sounds like
that's a pretty big deal in itself. So if you wanted to stop there, you can. But if you're learning about something else, I'm all ears.
I think that's good right now. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Done. And you're learning how to watch your kids if they get tackled too. So,
gosh, I'm going to try.
Good on you. You're just watching the ball. You got your eye on the prize. All right. So
yes,
we're at the final round of the podcast here. I call it the common ground round, where maybe you and I can see if maybe we're a little bit alike. So you got your card there and your marker and you're ready to go. And so I'm going to ask you 5 this or that style questions and we'll reveal our answers at the same time. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. So we are in Halloween season. Are you a big Halloween fan?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. My kids are older. My kids,
That's true.
so like I don't do costumes anymore, but we do pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't like a good jack-o'-lantern? I'm just really bad at carving them, and I get really impatient. We don't need to get stuck on the bat here. But would you rather be a black cat or a bat? Halloween season. Would you rather be a black cat or a bat? All right, I got mine. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I went bat. She went bat. Way to go. Any reason behind that, or you just decided bat?
Yeah, I think I'm not a cat person. So
Me either.
I'm like, who wants to be a cat? So
according to the aristocrats, everybody wants to be a cat.
Yes, true.
Except for you and me. I've always wanted to fly. Ever since I saw David Copperfield fly in the 90s,
wings are cool.
Just been wings are awesome. So, I think, and you know what? A little sonar echolocation can't go wrong there.
Yes. Could meet a vampire. Who knows?
You never know. And you could be Count Chocula. Moving on. All right. If you were going to a museum, would you rather go to an art museum or a history museum? Art or history?
I feel like I'm on a game show. This is so fun.
Yeah, you should. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I went history. You went history. Look at us. Are you a big history buff? Is that what I'm picking up on here?
I wouldn't say I'm a buff, but I definitely find it very interesting.
Now, similar question. Would you say that you are buff? Are you very muscular?
No. I like to work out, but I'm not buff. My kids would think that my kids are really buff.
Oh, good for them.
So, yes, they are very buff, not me.
Is there any spot in history that you're like, I just love this part of history?
I actually I've gotten to go to Eastern Europe a couple of times in the last couple of years. And I really I visited Auschwitz when I was in Poland, and just going back to kind of, I'm not going to say I enjoy it. I think it's always fascinating to learn from history. So just to go back and see something that actually happened instead of reading about it in a book makes a huge impact. So I would say just going back and reflecting on how we got to certain periods in our life, I find to be super helpful.
Actually, kind of on the same note, my wife and I, and then a couple of friends, or a couple that were friends with, we went up to Philadelphia. Actually, it was like a weekish ago. And as dumb as it is, it was fun seeing the Liberty Bell. And it was fun seeing Independence Hall and all that stuff. And even I felt like a third grader, but I didn't care to see the mint, where the coins were made.
Yeah.
That stuff just makes me happy.
I think that stuff's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only problem is now my wife is 1000% this way. Do you stop and read all the signs, or are
yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Good for you. And enjoy reading those signs.
I would say I probably read 80% of them.
Oh, that's good. So of the friends, the other husband that was with us, he had a thing where he would take a picture of the wide spot, and then he would take a picture of just the plaque so he could read the thing. He's like, I know you guys want to keep moving. I'm just going to take a picture of the plaque and then a picture of where I was at. And, so that was his nighttime reading. All right, let's keep it moving here. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart, and so I have no idea which way you're going. Would you rather say you've eaten a meal and you have the option of eating more dinner or having dessert? Which way are you going? More dinner or dessert?
This is so easy.
Is it? This one is tough for me because I love them both. And it's very situational. I'm still thinking, writing.
Not for me. Dun, 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 dun,
here we go.
Dun,
3.
Dun. Okay.
Don't you dare Jeopardy music me. All right, I went dinner. What did you put?
Dessert.
Oh. Are you your dessert gal?
Oh, yes. Let's order 3 of them to try at dinner. That would make my heart happy.
Deal. What is your favorite dessert?
Ice cream.
Oh, and ice cream? And what kind of ice cream?
Salted caramel is probably my favorite.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
At what is that place called? Cold Stone Creamery.
Yes.
They have it's called the Banana Caramel Crunch. It's bananas, caramel, and then some almonds in there, and a vanilla ice cream. That is
That's awesome.
absolutely heaven. That's a good choice. And I don't know why, but in my head, okay, so just for fun, in your brain, when I asked you that question, what was the dinner you were eating that you were like, give me dessert? Or did you have a dinner in mind?
No, I just went straight to dessert. Sugar. I just went straight to sugar. Cookie Crisp.
Deal. There you go. I don't know why in my brain, it's like roast, like mashed potatoes and carrots,
Yes.
that meal. I don't know why, but I could
food.
eat my body. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. I'm probably going to stop by the store on the way home and grab that for dinner tomorrow night. So you can't go wrong with a good crock pot meal too.
No, you
All right,
can't.
let's keep it moving. Ooh, yeah, I want some dessert now too. How dare you, Brandy? All right.
I know.
Would you rather
asked
go
the question.
antique shopping? It's my bad. Antique shopping or online shopping?
Oh.
So antique shopping you got to do in person or online shopping. I'm going to do this. Here we go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. I went online. You went
Same.
online. Look at you.
Yep.
You,
Same. My friends.
are you not a big antique shopper?
I have to be in the mood. I think life is just so busy. I fit in shopping online because then I don't have to go to the mall. And my friends, you mentioned Stephen and Jackie Brewster. Stephen will ask me sometimes when he sees me on the weekends, like, how many packages did you mail back this week? And I'm like, stop. That is not fair. Don't ask me that. Because Jackie loves to go to the mall. And I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was funny in our conversation. She said that like if she is stressed, she wants to go shopping, and
Yes.
so her husband knows that if she walks in with a new pair of jeans, that he needs to ask her how she's doing. So,
Yes. Yeah. Not how much did you spend? How are you doing, babe?
yeah. So I don't stress shop. I think when I'm stressed, I just death scroll online. So
Yeah.
but it's just so ridiculously convenient to be able to just buy whatever you need online. All right. One last one. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. When it comes to, I don't even know how to phrase this one, but would you rather cuddle up with a blanket or turn the heat up in the room so you are at a comfortable temperature? You go on blanket or turning up the heat? Oops, I forgot a letter. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I went blanket. She went
Blanket.
blanket. Now,
Yeah.
is that because you are trying to conserve energy and don't want to spend more money on your heating bill? Or is it because it's just comfy?
I'm all about cozy and texture and soft and turn on the fireplace and light a candle and yes, all those things.
You're not wrong. But in my head, I was just thinking about it. Like as I was writing, I was like, do I want to turn the heat up or do I want to put on a blanket? And like my dad brain was like, no, we're saving electricity if I put on a blanket.
Yes, we
And it's super cozy. And so for that like 2 weeks a year that it's cold in Florida, throw a blanket on. We're going to be all right.
Yep.
So, and my wife, even when it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside and like it's still warm in the house, she's still got a blanket on. So you can't go wrong with a good
blankets
cozy.
between like summer and winter blankets. And my kids call the summer blankets beach towels. They're like, ugh, Mom pulled out the beach towels. So
It makes sense. But in Florida, I think they're all beach towels. So because
I'm sure.
If it drops below 85, we're like, oh man, it's cold out today.
Yeah, it's frigid.
We're getting chilly. Yeah. All right, Brandy, again, I could say this 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 times. Thank you so much for being here today.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for
are
having
such a
me,
blessing.
Mike. It was fun.
Now, again, I said it before, and I don't know if it's true, but there's probably like 3 people that haven't heard of you, and they loved this conversation, and they want to get to follow you or read your book or just get to know you a little better. What's a great way for people to kind of get in contact or connect with you?
Yep. On Instagram, I am Love Brandy Wilson, Brandy with an I. My website is lovebrandywilson.com. There's information about the book, Better Than Okay. There's also information about the coaching services that I do. And then on Facebook, I'm Brandy Wilson. So I can be found at all of those places.
That's fantastic. brandywithanI.org. Check it out. Just kidding. But yeah, and we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. And so please connect with Brandy. And I think genuinely, I said it before, but the book is going to help and is helping so many people. It just came out in July. So
you.
I can imagine that in the years to come, it's just going to be story after story of people that were impacted by that. So on behalf of all those people that you haven't got to talk to yet, thank you for putting in the hard work to make that for all of us. And for everybody out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next time here on Maybe You're Like Me. Thanks, Brandy.